Speaking of being of service, our music team is extraordinarily in service to us. Kirby, you have seen, continues to move into his music director position, and we are so blessed with Lainey Bernstein, heart, soul, mind, and creativity as our assistant music director. And I came to them a couple weeks ago and said, I think you should write us a song. I think you should write us a song about our Step Out in Faith program, Paint a New Picture. And they went, okay. Here you go.
Ready?
So I just want to say that this is, I get up here and I sing all the time. And it's calming to do that now, but presenting a new baby is a little different. But I will say that if you can understand the words, because there are a lot, that the fact that we wrote this song and how we wrote this song is proof that it is effortless to paint a new picture. You say unprecedented, I say a new way to be. It's time to leave the darkness and light humanity. A brush in hand, a canvas on the stand. With every color of the one, we'll paint love's creation. Find what's holding us back so we can break free. Because what wants to happen needs every bit of me. I'll feel afraid and do it anyway. There are no wrong choices, so let's hear your voices. Step into the light of the Spirit. It's calling us and leading us. Step into the light of the Spirit. It's living us and breathing us. Let's leave behind our comforts. Let's go shake things up. We know the mess is sacred, and the outcome is love. Consciously and deliberately, we create life's rebirth. It's a masterpiece on earth. Step into the light of the Spirit. It's pulling us and asking us to be into the light of the Spirit. It's holding us and moving us. Step into the light of the Spirit. We're waking up in trust.
here, Lainey and Kirby. Woo-hoo! Yay, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love it. Step into the light of the Spirit. Absolutely. Thank you, Kirby, Lainey, Brad, Jonathan, and Matt. It's going to be lovely to see all this lovely creativity, right? And experience how effortless it can be, how joy-filled it can be. So, I have one. I have my little clicker works again. Yay, thank you so much. Look at that. Easy breezy. I'm like, click, 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 click. Nothing's happening. Doesn't it sometimes feel like your life? Right? So you ask for help, you get what you need, and then sure enough, there it is, right? So there you go. So we are walking through our beautiful Step Out in Faith program, walking together in it. I know we have 10 study groups that have started. We're super excited to have all of you pardon me? 11 now. And we do have one study group that started late last week, so they're actually beginning with the first step Monday, tomorrow. So if you are not yet in a study group and you want to start, please see Reverend Patty if you're here on campus, or email Rev Patty with an I at CSLDallas.org, and she'll pop you right into that study group. And so we keep going deeper every week in our 6 steps to paint a new picture. Last week, step number 1, we talked about, it begins with a desire, and to really think about that we're painting our picture not with forms, which we tend to so often focus on, the house, the job, the car, the vacations, the whatever, all the ways that our lives look, and that we're actually working with a new palette, which is actually co-creating the qualities and experiences of life that we want to have and contribute. So today in our second step is to recognize that, yes, you are creative. Oh yeah, I can see that just like, woo! Everybody's like, not so much. I don't think so. How many of us, you do not need to raise your hand, I won't make you. How many of you have throughout your lifetime said, I'm not really creative. I'm not creative. And then what happens is we remember something that our first grade teacher said to us, or our fourth grade teacher said to us, or our sister or brother said to us, or our mother said to us about whatever wonderful craft project we were was having inflicted upon us, or we were inflicting upon someone else. And what happened is that we decided we were not creative. And yet here we are in a philosophy that says we co-create our life, that we're constantly creating our experience, and that it is not only our responsibility, it is our birthright to create, because we are actually made in the image and likeness of the Creator, and we use the creative process. Oh, but I'm not creative. I'm not creative. Right? Which, of course, completely and utterly blocks the flow of our creativity. The very first thing we want to do in this idea of painting a new picture, despite the fact that we're using painting as the metaphor to get a hold of all of this, is to recognize that what we really meant was, I'm not artistic. That's what we really meant. I'm not artistic. I'm not somebody who can draw or paint. I'm not good with making little popsicle things that, stay together. My little pipe cleaner people look a little weird. Me personally, I'm excellent at stick figures. Excellent at stick figures. Beyond that, not so much. Right? So actually what we mean is we aren't artistic. We maybe don't have the bent for painting or sculpture, but maybe we write music, Or maybe what we do is actually creatively nurture our children or our grandparents. Maybe we have an entirely new way of looking at our business or a particular process or dealing with life in a whole new way. And all of that is creativity. All the ways in which we actually imagine things, think about them new, think about them different than the way that they are. All of them is an example of our creativity. Now, I will remind you about how creative you are by inviting you to think about all the creative, catastrophic things you've imagined in your life. Right? That were so far from what was actually happening in the moment, and yet you had no trouble creating them in your minds. Some big catastrophic outcome, some horrible thing, some whatever, which really had little or no relationship to what was going on in the present moment. That is called being creative. Yes, right? Think of all the very creative conversations you've had with people that weren't actually in the room with you. Right? You are very creative. We are all very creative. The challenge is what we are using our creativity for. And as always in our spirituality, the answer is, are we using it consciously? Are we using it consciously? Or are we not paying attention and creating all kinds of nonsense in our minds, which is also, unfortunately, playing out in the world, playing out in our world of affairs and the ways in which we are engaging with life in general. So the first thing when we start to own, yes, I am creative, is this idea that we are being creative, that being creative is part of our nature. This is the second step of the whole idea that we are painting a new picture. Ernest Holmes says this, being creative, this is the secret. We must enter into the spirit of life, into the joy of living, into the usefulness of creative endeavor. No one need grow old in attitude if he or she has faith, purpose, and enthusiasm. If we feel then that we are simply onlookers and not participants in the game of life, we should rediscover the youthful spirit of that childlike joy, which gave to us the energy, happiness, security, and faith we had as children. My granddaughters, too. She watches her 8-year-old older sister color, and she has no trouble getting out that crayon and going on the paper and say, coloring. Right? And then she hands me the green one, and then she hands me the green one, and I keep getting the green one, and I finally said, so why do I keep getting the green one? Oh, she said, well, you can have the purple one. Okay, that's okay. Very specific. She was very creative. She was totally in charge of the whole project, totally enjoying the process, having absolutely no opinion about whether what she was doing looked like what her sister did or looked like what I was doing in any way, shape, or form. Right? Just the joy of it, the enthusiasm of it, the exploration of it. This idea, and so we are. I should just say I. You can decide whether this is true for you or not. Right? I often find myself feeling constrained. Like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to behave? What's the right thing to do here? How does, and what's expected and all of those kinds of things. Now, some of that is perfectly natural and perfectly reasonable. But more importantly, rather than looking for the box that we fit into, It is, what is the creativity that is in fact pouring out of us? And it might be simply activated by beginning to enjoy being creative, to enjoy the idea that we are creative. Oh, I want to back up here. This is the other quote from Ernest Holmes that I wanted to bring forward. I love this. The other piece of being creative. We are all living in a world of continual change, a world in which thought, thing, and experience are in a constant state of flux. Yes? Sometimes it's really annoying, isn't it? We want to manifest something, create our lives, and then go, there, done. Don't move, don't breathe, nobody change, everything is perfect right now. Till it's not anymore, right? Everything is in flux. It is the very nature of the universe that there should be continual change and variation. That is the nature of the expressed and experienced cosmos. It is a living world, the creation of a living creative intelligence, not a static world created by a God now dead or departed who has left it to decay. No, it is vital and alive. The mind that created it is not apart from it, but is always active in and through it. So it's not like, the universe was turned on like a watch, like clockwork, and then whatever creative impulse started that said, okay, you're on your own, bye. No, that is a constant unfolding of the creative impulse, of the desire of life for life, and it is forever changing and shifting. And what that means for us is that we get to participate in that. We often find ourselves feeling victimized by it, and yet we can actually participate in the co-creative process since we know things are shifting and changing and that the universe is an alive cosmos, right? We get to actively begin engaging in that. If I know it's going to change, what do I want it to change into? What is the new picture, the next picture I want to paint for my life? Now, and this doesn't mean we're painting a new picture every week or month or even every year. But as our lives unfold, as things change, as stages of life or new ways of being or new understandings of ourselves and what it is that we're doing or wanting to create in our life, right? Each one of those gives us the opportunity to actively participate as opposed to just having it happen to us. So we need to understand this creativity that we have, right? This creativity that we are, which is, again, the point isn't that we're artistic. The point is that we share in the creative nature of the universe. And that as the universe itself is being created by an infinite power and presence, by an infinite love and intelligence, we are contributing to our own lives in the same way. So those of you who have taken classes with us, who have studied the science of mind, you will recognize the term, the creative process. If you have not yet, this is one of the reasons why we invite you to get into classes. Come join me on a Sunday morning in the Science of Mind class. All the different ways in which we get together, what we're seeking to learn is this understanding of the nature of reality and how we can engage in it and use it, the creative process. So in the Science of Mind, the creative process, there's a couple of things it says about it. There is a time when we are creating our experience before we manifest, because we too use a creative law which acts upon our ideas and convictions. The law is neither good nor bad. It is the power that is creative. So it's our thoughts, our intentions, our beliefs, our attitudes, the way in which we walk around thinking about life, feeling about life, holding as the truth about life within ourselves that is the starting the creative process over and over and over and over again in our lives. And so here we have the image of the creative process. You'll see that it's that's why we have the teaching symbol, right? That the opportunity we have is to set this new idea in motion, to set a new imaginative experience that we've had in our minds, to really spend time with it, so that the universe, the universal law, the law of cause and effect, can actually process that into experience, into our world for ourselves. And of course, we can also use this to contribute to the world at large, to collective consciousness. But until we recognize that this is the process that we are over and over and over starting, over and over and over engaging with, over and over causing to have happen, we can't actually paint a new picture. Basically what we do is we keep painting the same picture over and over and over again. It just, with different faces and in a different geographical location or at a different job, or, right? How many of us have had that experience? And what we actually want to do is paint an entirely new picture by starting in what it is that we can imagine, that desire we talked about last week, and what it is we can imagine about how that might look or feel, how we might experience it, what the qualities of that life are, and really spend time with that in our consciousness so that we can engage consciously with this creative process. Ernest Holmes says this: the creative process is an action of mind or consciousness upon itself, whether it be the great universal consciousness creating a universe, or the action of consciousness in our own individual use of it. True creation is the unfoldment of an idea, the very urge of the life principle as this idea to create something new out of apparently nothing. We don't need to have evidence for it before we start imagining it. This may be illustrated by a musician working on a brand new musical composition, right? An artist painting a picture, which is why we're using that as our metaphor, or an inventor conceiving a new object for the use of humankind. The original impulse is in feeling, which develops into action through ideation. As the idea unfolds in consciousness, everything necessary to its perfect fulfillment is created with it, or is part of the unfolding of it, the creative process. Now, this is a 5-minute Cliff Note version of the expression of the creative process. We do countless classes on this for us to really understand that this creative process is corroborated by the mystics of all spiritual traditions. It's corroborated by science at various levels. It's corroborated by psychology. Every one of these has a term or a way of describing this very thing. You probably learned it when you were a kid, or maybe your children or grandchildren are learning it now. When my son was in first grade, in the gym, on the walls, it said, "Attitude is everything." And it said, "If you think you can, you can." Right? These are basic descriptions of the creative process. Right? People say those things, they believe those things, but they don't understand why or how it works. We try to articulate what that creative process is and that we're engaged in it. So the good news, the bad news, maybe just the news, is that you're already doing it. You're already using it. Whether we know it or not, the creative process is going on all the time, and we are always in this process of painting a picture of our life. We're always in that process. The question right now, or the thing that we're embarking on, is an opportunity to paint a new picture. Maybe not of our life as a whole, but in some aspect of or area of our life that we would like to see differently. So, I really have to come down here because the truth is, I cannot see this clock. And it's time to be finished. Yay, that's what I thought. All right, so we're not going to play our game today. We are going to play it another day because we had hoped that we would have more people who would wake up on time to be here this morning. But we love it that you have the opportunity to be online, so you didn't have to race to be here. And so the last thing I want to say is we make it too hard. We make it too hard. We make it too painful. We make it too, I got to make something happen. Remember this quote, the joy of the child, right? The joy of the child, to be in that state, to rediscover the youthful spirit of childlike joy. This week, as we begin this next step of you are creative, I really want to invite you to embrace the possibility, embrace the thought, yes, I am creative, with all the zest of a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old that is simply going to create and enjoy the process. It's much more important than worrying about the outcome. The outcome will take care of itself. That's the law's job. So as we move through the next steps, we're going to talk about some of the things that will get in the way that are, I promise you, going to come up. We're going to give you tools. We're going to talk about what those things are, and we're going to give you tools. So this week, just play. All right? And so it is.